Hello everybody, Ian Barkin, AJ Hanna here in Chicago. We are here for another conference, which brings us together often, so that's a silver lining to conferences. But actually we've had some really great discussions with the attendees here. The topic of discussion is HR. And obviously, for AJ and for me, it's always automation and the role that intelligent automation and RPA can play in an organization, and in this case, in an organization's HR function. AJ, we are at the booth quite often and talking to people about our experiences, and you've said many times that in the last 5 years, HR was one of your bigger customers. You'd served HR, you'd helped both from a shared services capacity, but then also in applying automation. Right. So tell me more about that. What were you doing?
Yeah, so a lot of what we were doing, I think what you find most frequently, especially with organizations that run a large geographic gamut, you can standardize the platform that you work on, you can standardize the process for how you run things through the system, but you can't always standardize the policies, which means that you have lots of variability in things like pay rates. You have variability in things like certain benefit packages. So if you're in a scenario where you get reimbursed for a parking expense or you get reimbursed for a cafeteria expense or something like that, that varies from location to location. They have to provide you an exception list. And so that was a very big part of our early efforts, is in taking all of those activities, swivel chair activities, and moving them over. But those were somewhat unique to our HR function that didn't necessarily happen in the other places.
Well, so let's come back to this. So the swivel chair, and for those not familiar with swivel chairs, so we're literally saying someone in a swivel chair looking at a monitor on the left, swiveling, looking at a monitor on the right, effectively just doing data extraction, data entry. And so you're saying that you had a big manual load on the team to do this swivel chair integration in the sort of the analog days, in the pre-RPA days.
Yeah, and so those were our very first use cases for RPA. As we were learning how to use the tool, we were learning on those activities. As we became more skilled and more knowledgeable about the way the tool works and the way the processes worked, we began looking, and one of the things in HR you'll find is that there are lots of add-on systems or tack-on systems that are used. You may have a leave management system that's separate from your ERP. You may have a recruiting tool, something like a Taleo, which is an add-on to your ERP system. So you'll find often that for specific activities within the HR realm, there are multiple systems, and you're probably integrating with a case record system, a ServiceNow or a Salesforce or something like that. And you've got people doing their work, and they're entering and transferring data into each one of those systems. So again, it's a form of swivel chair. It's a little more complicated because you're dealing with three separate systems as opposed to a spreadsheet and moving over. And those seem to be very prevalent in HR. Also, you have many circumstances where notifications to associates is critical. In many of your ERP systems, they'll have some standards set up. They'll send out 2 letters, or they'll send out a letter on some cadence. Perhaps you want to communicate more frequently than that. You can set up a bot to send out communications more frequently than what the standard system is set up. And those are the types of things that we were doing in HR.
And benefits are a reduction in manual load, again, so you can do the same work or more work with the same or smaller team. But it sounds like there's a lot of ancillary benefits of, those additional notifications. I would imagine a big part of that impact is just experience. It's just I have better knowledge of where I stand in this particular process, and that makes me, the employee or the customer, that makes my experience just better. So I'm happier with you. So
yeah, I think you would be challenged to find an HR professional who didn't say that they would want to have a high-touch operation, an opportunity where they can really touch frequently and engage with at a deep level the people that they're supporting. Oftentimes, because of the transactional requirements and because of the administrative work that HR professionals have to do, they're perhaps not afforded the amount of time that they would like in order to extend that touch. So as you know, we've seen scenarios where people in human resources departments are automating things, and they're using the capacity that they've freed up to be much more proactive about reaching out to people perhaps who may be on a leave or in some other scenario. And that's creating not only better client satisfaction, but what you find is your associates really enjoy that type of work much more than what they were doing. And so your associate satisfaction has a positive benefit as well.
Great. Well, thank you. That was interesting. I'm glad we got to go into the real granular, detailed level of which applications you often see in the module. So, if you have any other questions for us, we, as we've said in lots of videos before, we've lived in this world for many, many years now. Helped enterprises globally to understand and apply RPA, to understand how to optimize and digitize operations in finance and accounting, in HR and logistics. So give us a shout. Check out AJ's YouTube channel, Ask AJ, where he shares a wealth of experience collected over the years to just be a guide and an advisor and a coach to anyone at any stage on their RPA journey. Thanks so much.